Welcome to the Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Mike Van Hoozer. And for today's segment, we want to follow up on this concept of the Volition Scale that we started on this week's Monday Morning Moments, and just expand on that and give you some tips on how you can move to an I will mindset. So again, as a refresher, let's cover the stages of the Volition Scale, and then we'll talk about each one. So volition is just, again, your will or desire to do something. And whether you're asked to do something or you're pursuing a goal, you can have any one of these stages along the continuum. The first is I won't, I can't, I'd like to, I'll try, I can, and I will. And each of those has some meaning as well as a way, and I think you'd agree that we all want to get to an I will mindset. And I'm going to give you some tips today on how to do that. I think we'd also agree that I won't is the worst, but I'll talk about one of the most deceiving and disillusioning stages on this continuum as well. So let's get right into it. And I want you to be thinking again about a goal you're pursuing and kind of where you are in this volition scale, and then give you some tips about how we can move to an I will mindset around that goal. So let's start with I won't. Again, it's probably the worst of the stages. It's basically I won't is someone who's decided that they're just not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They don't have the motivation. They don't feel like they have the know-how, but it's really more of a determined spirit. They may possess the ability, and they may even know they possess the ability deep down, but again, it's a determined spirit and motivated and channeled in the wrong way. And sometimes it's easier to get somebody from an I won't mindset to an I will mindset if you can just channel the inspiration and the motivation in a different way. And so the key for you in this, if you're in an I won't mindset, is to think about inspiration and motivation towards why you would want to accomplish that goal, and to change that within and also the external forces pulling you without, or externally to you, and see if you can change that and channel that in the right way. But again, it gets back to finding your purpose. I think when you find your why, then you're able to kind of move towards this I will mindset and get out of that I won't mindset. If you think about the next stage, I can't. A lot of times sometimes it can be true, you just can't do it. But more often than not, what I've seen is that this is somebody who can do it, but they just haven't done it yet. They'll get into this mindset, well, I can't do this. I can't shoot free throws. I can't speak in front of audiences. I can't, do this. And when you change your mindset, the key to getting out of this mindset or this stage on the continuum is changing your self-talk or your language from I can't to I just haven't done it yet. And when you think about in terms of I just haven't done it yet, you start to think in terms of possibilities, and it starts to move you again down this stage of the continuum towards an I will mindset. So that's what's key about that, and making sure that you acknowledge the truth. And the truth, again, I think you'll find is that you just haven't done it yet. It's not that you can't. The next stage is I'd like to. And it's almost like I'd like to, but a lot of times it has to do with a little bit, at least that's getting more positive as far as a willing commitment or a willing desire, but a lot of times it has to do with you just don't have the knowledge to get to where you need to be or to achieve that goal. And so my encouragement to you, if you're in this stage, is to think about others who've accomplished the goal that you're trying to pursue or do the things that you're trying to do, and learn from them. Seek that knowledge, find the free, as we call it, find that free information, and talk to them about how they've been able to accomplish that goal and what are the key lessons learned along the way. And you can then move from I'd like to gaining the knowledge and starting to practice that yourself to move towards, again, that I will mindset. The next stage is I'll try. And again, most of the time when people say this, they're like, I'll try, and they shrug their shoulders. And I think if you're in this mindset, it's one of the most deceiving stages of the volition scale. And it can keep you in a vicious cycle over and over and over again, because you're just, approaching the goal or approaching the task with a I'll try. And it's a deceiving stage because it keeps you in a vicious cycle of you think that you have a commitment to progress, but it's really a half-hearted effort, and it's just a stage of going through the motions. And just on a side note, you can't demonstrate trying. I can't, demonstrate sitting down or trying to sit down. I'm either going to sit down or I'm not going to sit down. And as Yoda so prophetically said, and with all of his wisdom in one of the Star Wars movies, do or do not, there is no try. And so this is a mindset that we have to get out of, and a stage we have to get out of quickly. And again, it's replacing just any concept of I'll try or I'm trying to do this, and get into more of an I can and I will, and identifying what those steps are to quickly get out of an I'll try mindset, because it's going to deceive you into thinking that you're doing something when you're really not. I can is the next stage, and again, it's the next best stage to I will. And so it's a recognition of the knowledge and ability to be able to do something. And that's good. That we have to recognize what our strengths, talents, and gifts are, the ability, the know-how, the plan to get there. It's a stage of planning, and you can map out the game plan and the process to get to where you need to be. But if you just stay in an I can mindset, it doesn't always translate into action. And so mapping out the game plan is important, acknowledging that you can do this and you have the knowledge and ability to do what you're trying to do. But again, it's the first step to then getting to I will, which actually moves you to action and that desire. So I can, very positive, but use that as a launching point to get to I will, not just kind of sitting back and having the head knowledge of that. We've got to move to decisive action. I will, the final stage, the stage we're all trying to get to, and it's the best stage on the continuum. And it's not perfection. Again, I think a lot of times people think of this as perfection or as an admission that you're going to accomplish the task or the goal 100% of the time. And that's not what this is. In fact, a lot of people shrink back from I will because they feel like if they say I will and it doesn't happen, they shrink back and said, well, that didn't work, so I'm just going to get back to I'll try because at least, I'm not discouraged when I don't. And I will can be aspirational. It's not called I've done it yet mindset. It's called I will, which a lot of times is aspirational. You have not done it yet, but you're committed head and heart to actually doing it. It's a willing spirit, a determined mind, and decisive action and a decisive heart. It's passion and purpose all rolled up into one. And it's action and it's determination and resiliency all bundled up in the gift of opportunity to accomplish your goal. So working with athletes, working with people to have an I will mindset, it's a process over and over again that we get them to have an I will mindset every time they step up to the plate, every time they take the field, every time they're doing little things within the scope of a game or meeting with a client, whatever the situation is in sports, business, or life. It's having an I will mindset and learning from those opportunities when maybe it doesn't work out to 100% of what you expected it to do as well. But I will and having an I will mindset doesn't guarantee success, but it puts you and your mind in a position to have success. And that's where we want to be. So again, I hope going through these stages in a little bit more detail and giving you some techniques and couple of thoughts about each one and how to move to the next stage will be important to you. We'll talk about this in future Coaches Corner sessions about just being, process focused. And I think that's really key. Anytime you're wanting to be driven by a goal or an outcome, you have to be process focused and to think about what are the things that I can do to take a next step to move towards my goal. And that's true on the stages of this continuum. We have to make sure that we're thinking about our self-talk and what we're saying to ourselves, what our vocabulary is, and then moving towards an I will mindset in all the vocabulary that we use, and that it's guiding and informing the actions that we take. Again, if you've liked this content, I just ask that you would like on our YouTube channel as well as on the audio podcast. You can consume it either way. And just continue to make the most of the moments in your life and to apply this. Subscribe to our channel again so you don't miss a moment. And I want you to accomplish your goals. So if there's anything that we can do to help you with this, do it. Most important thing I can ask you to do is have an I will mindset and go out and make an impact with your life.